William Murray, September 28th, editorial.
Last week, we talked about advanced persistent threat. If you'll recall, I was in the Admirals Club at Kennedy, and I was on my way to Secure World Expo in the Bay Area, in Santa Clara. While I was there, I heard a panel of CISOs who were all victims of APT. They learned about it when Amazon detected information about them when it was doing the investigation of the attacks against it. Not Amazon, Google. When Google was doing the investigation of Aurora, it discovered evidence that these firms were under attack. One of them was a large aerospace firm, others you would recognize. These CISOs have reported to their management that they are penetrated and that they're not sure they know exactly what to do about it. They're talking about a new concept which you could call penetration tolerance. How much penetration of our network can we tolerate and still be able to do business? That's a new view of security. We've talked about risk tolerance, right? How much risk can we accept? Well, now how much penetration can we tolerate? In the short run, they're talking about a number of mechanisms to defend themselves. First of all, they say, we're starting to think about inside out. We are concerned about the exfiltration of our intellectual property, so we're focusing on that. They said that they have blacklisted dynamic DNS services so that they have better control over where the traffic is going. They believe that many of these attacks involve 6 to 9 months in planning. I'm not sure what evidence they have for that, but they seem to believe that that's the case. They think they need to be able to detect command and control traffic in order to know where the targets are and in order to be able to filter traffic that's intended for those malicious systems. They had a number of firms in their book that they are using to help them with all of this. And while I can't recommend the firms, I can tell you that I've looked at their websites. I understand the services that they provide, and I think they are well worth your work looking at. They like FireEye. FireEye detects zero-day attacks and tries to restrict the traffic that might flow out from those zero-day attacks. They like Dumbala. Dumbala is based in Atlanta. Their stock in trade is information about the botnets. They know where the botnets are and therefore can provide information that can be used to block traffic that are intended for those that are intended for those destinations. They think that honeypots are useful at this point. I have always discouraged the use of honeypots, mostly because people run them and never look at the data that comes out of them. I think it's important that if you're going to use them, that you look at the data and do something with it. But they believe that for these kinds of attacks, those are important. They believe that a lot of the attacks use credentials of privileged insiders as a early target, and then use those to find the intellectual property that they want to exfiltrate. I questioned them about it and asked them whether or not they thought that strong authentication was indicated. And while none of them had moved in that direction, they did say that they think it's probably a short-term remedy that's important. They're also taking a longer-term view of all of this. And the longer-term view is strategic. It says that IT can't be the only protector in all of this, that the business people who know the most about that intellectual property are going to have to be engaged. One guy said that he was going to hire a few MBAs every year, train them, and then give them with security training to the business units. One of the biggest intellectual property losses during my career was when IBM lost the information associated with the Winchester drives. The Winchester drives are the basis of modern disk drive technology. And the cost to IBM was measured safely in billions of dollars. One of the things that IBM did in response to that was they went to the owners of the products and the business processes, and they said, we want you to identify for your product or your business process some small but key piece of information, something that would act as a key to all of the rest of the intellectual property about your product or process. It could be something as small as a manufacturing tolerance, which if you didn't understand and you tried to produce the product, you would fail. So in the long run, we have to involve the business managers. They're the only ones who know what the data is going to be. We probably have to go back to some basics. We're going to have to go back, for example, to classification, which we have not been doing and which we are going to have to do if we're going to be able to protect this information. We cannot afford to protect all of the information in our business or in our enterprise at the same level that we protect our most critical information, intellectual property. So it's important that we go back to classification. The only people who can do this are the owners of the business products and processes, and it's going to take us a while to train them in being able to do that. 5-year program in order to be able to address this. I hope that this information is as useful to you as it has been to me. I strongly urge you to go out to the websites of 2 other firms that they liked. The aerospace people liked a firm called Mandiant, and you may want to look at them. They are people who are doing forensics in the intellectual property space. And of course, those of you who are in financial services clearly want to look at Verizon. The Verizon incident response people are the best people on the financial side. So those firms and those websites are things that you should familiarize yourself with. Thanks, and look forward to talking to you next week.